The episode Friend or Foe is an ambitious half-an-hour special that dives into the childhood of Mr. Krabs and Plankton, explaining how the two became bitter rivals and giving them like a whole backstory. This is another episode that I highly recommend. It's one of the better season 5 episodes, but more importantly, this episode actually has a ton of interesting trivia, facts, and Easter eggs. I mean, even its production history became a bit of SpongeBob lore back in 2006. Over a year before the episode actually aired, an anonymous Wikipedia user claiming to be voice actor Tom Kenny's nephew leaked details about this then upcoming special. In that early leak, they even revealed the working title, Between Friends. This actually turned out to be accurate information about the episode's first half. I know it sounds very like my uncle works at Nintendo, like it sounds like that type of situation, but it's crazy that the kid was actually right. I wonder if Tom Kenny, SpongeBob's voice actor by the way, had to talk to his nephew about the leak, as if you really think about it, something like this could have gotten his uncle in some serious trouble with Nickelodeon. But then again, you can probably get away with a lot when you're like the voice of Nickelodeon's most profitable character. I mean, what are they gonna do? Replace Tom Kenny? Moving on though, within the episode's story, the writers made a little mistake with Mr. Krabs' backstory. In Friend or Foe, we learned that Mr. Krabs grew up extremely poor.
Yeah, where'd you do your clothes shopping, the trash can?
'Twas true. I did get me clothes from the trash.
But here's the thing, this isn't necessarily true. If we rewind back to one of my favorite episodes, Krusty Krab training video, there was a flashback scene where we learned that the child version of Mr. Krabs was actually just as greedy and cheap as he is in the modern day. I mean, I guess he could have been cheap because he was broke when he was younger, but I don't know. This just seems like the writer of Friend or Foe isn't super familiar with older SpongeBob episodes and they haven't seen the episode Krusty Krab training video. And because of this, they got the backstory slightly incorrect, but I'm also admittedly nitpicking. So let's switch it up and talk about some interesting facts about this episode. And the first one can be found when Mr. Krabs and Plankton concoct their very first burger together. As they argue over the failed recipe, Mr. Krabs blurts out an ingredient.
Well, it was your fault the patty was tainted.
You're the one who put too much seaweed sauce in the burger.
This is really interesting, as for the first time, the show drops a hint about the legendary Krabby Patty secret formula. Krabs essentially confirms that seaweed sauce is one component of a Krabby Patty. I know this recipe technically failed, but Mr. Krabs says that he put too much, so it does seem like seaweed sauce would be in a Krabby Patty, or on a Krabby Patty, just Plankton puts too much. Pretty cool though, right? Now we just need to find out all of the other ingredients and find out if Mr. Krabs uses crab meat, as it's been hilariously rumored for years. Who's heard that one before? But another interesting fact about this episode revolves around Karen, Plankton's computer wife, of course. Friend or Foe actually marked the first ever TV show appearance of Karen's mobile robot form. Before this, Karen was always depicted as a screen in the Chum bucket. But in Friend or Foe, Plankton wheels Karen around in a robot body.
In those days, I was just starting out as a security system. Plankton and I met when he installed me.
It was only our third day.
This probably seems like not a big deal at all right now, but at the time, this was a pretty big change. And honestly, it was a really smart one from like a writing perspective, as it let Karen as a character evolve. Like she really turned into the Karen we know after this, due to the fact that she wasn't confined to Plankton's lab anymore, allowing her to interact with other characters other than Plankton. And this gave us many memorable moments. But yeah, some interesting trivia, but how about an actual Easter egg? Well, the Patchy the Pirate segments carry their own hidden gems, as in one scene, Patchy is in his kitchen, and if you look closely at the background right here, there's a large wooden barrel labeled SpongeBob SquarePants sitting in Patchy's clutter. If it looks familiar to you, it's because this barrel is a direct prop from the opening of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, where a similar barrel with the show's logo appears on the pirate ship. It's almost as if Patchy salvaged that movie prop for his own use. All told, Friend or Foe is a great episode. One of my favorites from season 5, other than Jim, the original fry cook, that's also a banger season 5 episode, but I highly recommend watching Friend or Foe after you're done watching this video, because I've got more Easter eggs, lore, facts, trivia coming up. And also, I hate when YouTubers do this, but if you guys are enjoying the video, please subscribe, guys. I'm almost at 10K, and just saying, I'm one of the only non-AI SpongeBob like sleep channels. All those other channels like Cartoonology are completely AI. So if you want to support real creators, please subscribe, guys. I'd really appreciate it. In the episode Plankton's Old Chum, Plankton faces a very messy and pretty disgusting problem. His usual dumping spot for rotten chum, the disgusting bait slop that he sells, is overflowing. With nowhere to dispose of his old chum, Plankton resorts to some slimy tactics, trying to trick people, and I mean, who's better to trick than the ever-helpful SpongeBob? This guy is so gullible, like he falls for everything. Plankton convinces SpongeBob that it's Chum Day, a special holiday where people exchange chum as gifts, and recruits him to secretly stash buckets of old chum all around Bikini Bottom.
Oh, and does it snow chum on Chum Day?
Sure.
Do the kids make chum, man? What about icicles? Do you call them chumsicles?
Yeah, whatever.
Now I know what you guys are waiting for, and it's the Easter eggs and trivia, so let's get into that. As this episode is packed with cheeky references right from its opening seconds. As Plankton is about to illegally dump a barrel of chum, he's caught red-handed by a familiar authority figure.
Excuse me, are you responsible for all this chum?
Yes, that's right. You're welcome.
Well, as the health inspector, I've got something for you.
$1 billion?
This right here is the health inspector, a very nostalgic and iconic character from the classic episode Nasty Patty. The deep-voiced purple fish, known as Andy in later episodes by the way, who once nearly met his end eating a tainted Krabby Patty. Like Mr. Krabs nearly killed him, but yeah, he returns here in a cameo, still doing his job. In Nasty Patty, Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob thought this inspector was a fraud and served him that iconic Nasty Patty. Would you eat one of these? I definitely wouldn't. So it's really cool to see in Plankton's Old Chum that same inspector reappearing. Back to the plot though, and as you can imagine, SpongeBob helps Plankton, and their spree of hiding that disgusting chum yields a quick gag for observant fans. In one house they sneak into, a young boy sleeps peacefully with a poster on his wall, and that poster is actually of Quarter Guy, a minion character from the episode Slimy Dancing. Quarter Guy is a tall purple fish who, in Slimy Dancing, wowed the judges with a coin juggling dance before being disqualified later on.
The rulebook clearly states a single dancer must perform without any further assistance from a partner. Therefore, you're the winner.
Oh, man. The jig's up, Pedro. We're going home.
It's all right. I'll go call a taxi.
Here, the animators placed him as a pop culture figure in the world of SpongeBob. Like, it seems he's a celebrity in the world of SpongeBob, which is why he's on this kid's wall. Apparently, Quarter Guy's dancing career took off, at least enough to make him poster worthy, I guess. But nonetheless, this is a really cool Easter egg, and I'm very proud of myself for catching this one, just saying. As SpongeBob continues hiding chum in people's homes, we encounter another nod to continuity, as when he sneaks into Mrs. Puff's house, we can see that she has a framed photo of Mr. Krabs right here. This is a subtle reference to the long-running, if rocky, romance between Mrs. Puff and Mr. Krabs. It's not often directly acknowledged in episodes, so including this photograph here is some cool continuity. We recently covered a very similar Easter egg to this, like from the episode Spot Returns. Just saying, but this is a different Easter egg. It also happens in the episode Plankton's Old Chum. And it's equally as cool, as moments like this reward nerds like me for remembering that a cartoon crab and a cartoon pufferfish are dating. Eventually though, Plankton's big plan backfires when all of the hidden chum starts to overflow and literally rain down onto Bikini Bottom like a sludge storm, or more like a snowstorm to be honest.
Merry Chum Day, everyone!
Panicked citizens gather outside their chum-covered homes. And in a really funny scene, Squidward leans out of his window to ask a passing child, the character Sprat Morty, by the way, a very specific question.
You, boy! What day is today?
Today?
Such an intelligent boy. What is today?
Why? It's Chum Day!
Then I haven't missed it. Wait a minute. Chum Day? That's disgusting!
For those of you who don't know, Squidward's dramatic, hopeful delivery of that question is actually a direct nod to Scrooge from the classic story A Christmas Carol. In that series, Scrooge wakes up on Christmas morning, a changed man, and calls out to a boy in the street to ask what day it is, with him overjoyed to learn that he hasn't missed Christmas.
What's today, my fine fellow?
What Christmas Day?
Do you know the poulterers on the corner?
I should hope I did.
What an intelligent boy.
Here, Squidward's line intentionally mimics that famous scene, only instead of snow on Christmas, it's disgusting, nasty chum raining from the sky. Now I've got some more Easter eggs to talk about today, guys, but I just want to say I'm one of the only non-AI SpongeBob sleep channels on YouTube right now. I know I've been saying this every video, so to all of my regular viewers, I'm sorry you have to hear it every time, but this is for anybody new. If you're new, please subscribe, guys. These videos are a lot of work. I have to go and confirm every Easter egg or fact I talk about. I can't just read off the wiki or else I'll have misinformation in my video. So if you like real content made by someone who's actually a real freaking goofy goober, I'm a real SpongeBob fan, please subscribe. But yeah, I love you guys, and here's more Easter eggs. In the season 11 episode, Chef Bob, Mr. Krabs installs a viewing window and turns his fry cook into a live performer to boost business. Kind of a smart idea. He essentially makes SpongeBob put on a cooking show for the customers, which, as you would imagine, SpongeBob would be really good at. Well, the normally outgoing SpongeBob is actually struck with a case of stage fright, and his anxiety while cooking for an audience leads to some hilarious scenes.
If you don't come out, you're fired. There he is!
Now, when SpongeBob tries to make a Krabby Patty under pressure in this episode, we get this scene where he slaps a shoe onto the bun instead of a pickle. Longtime fans will recognize this as a callback to the episode Pickles. In Pickles, SpongeBob lost his confidence in cooking thanks to Bubble Bass lying. And during a very memorable scene where SpongeBob botches making a Krabby Patty, he tops the patty with a shoe, among other absurd ingredients. Chef Bob recreates this gag in a very similar way, making for a cool Easter egg, but also this could be a coincidence. I don't think it is, though. I think this is intentional. Back to the plot, though. This pressure of having to perform for everybody eventually is too much for SpongeBob, and he ends up cowering under the grill, which is where this episode's next Easter egg sneaks in. As well hiding under the cooking station, we can see this sea urchin right here. This isn't just a random critter. It's actually a sly nod to the season 8 episode Eek an Urchin, in which the Krusty Krab was infested by a sea urchin that SpongeBob and Squidward had to remove.
Sea urchin!
This is cool, as the presence of a sea urchin under the grill in this episode implies that maybe not all of those spiky pests were cleared out. It's a subtle bit of continuity that connects SpongeBob's current problem to an earlier adventure, and also suggests that Mr. Krabs needs to clean his kitchen, bro. It's been multiple seasons since those sea urchins. What's this dude doing? No wonder the health inspector has been called on his butt so many times. The Bikini Bottom Better Business Bureau needs to get their butts down here, just like they did in that other episode we covered the other day. Also, I'm just gonna say this one is also potentially a coincidence, so let me know what you think in the comments. It's still pretty interesting. Eventually, SpongeBob's stage fright and Chef Bob drives him to a desperate solution. He creates a puppet doppelganger, a literal talking sponge hand puppet named Chef Bob, to do all of the cooking and entertaining for him. This absurd scenario is very funny. It's a good plot for comedy in an episode, with the puppet Chef Bob even insulting customers at times.
Hey, what dirt on your neck? Oh, it's your head.
But it also highlights a really weird character inconsistency that's really freaking weird. Historically, SpongeBob has never been shy about performing. Quite the opposite, actually. He's been in the spotlight numerous times in episodes like Culture Shock or Squirrel Jokes, relishing in performances on stage, and even leading a stadium of thousands in band geeks. Remember when he literally headlined the Bubble Bowl? Given that track record, seeing SpongeBob paralyzed by stage fright in this episode is some weird writing. It seems to contradict his established character. I mean, he's usually a born performer who loves to make others smile, to the point where he's kind of annoying about it. It doesn't necessarily ruin the episode's fun, but just a weird situation, and this is another one where whoever wrote this episode or whoever wrote this scene needs to educate themselves on SpongeBob lore, alright? When I know more about SpongeBob lore than a writer, then there's definitely something wrong. In the season 13 episode Goofy Scoopers, SpongeBob and Patrick are obsessed with this animatronic band that performs regularly at the Goofy Goobers ice cream party boat. Now I really want ice cream. But yeah, this place is a kiddie restaurant that fans may remember from the first SpongeBob SquarePants movie. The episode opens with the duo gorging on triple gooberberry sunrises.
Here's the party!
these delicious sundaes right here, which in itself is kind of like a cool nod to the 2004 film.
And here's your triple gooberberry sunrise, sir.
Also, if you listen to SpongeBob's voice at the very start of the episode, he sounds drunk, which in itself is another reference to that 2004 SpongeBob movie. As throughout that whole film, well, the intro of the film, SpongeBob and Patrick are pretty much drunk off of gooberberry sunrises. But yeah, SpongeBob and Patrick love this place so much that they even refuse to leave despite it being time for the place to close. They are true Goofy Goobers, and they're probably like the #1 fans of the Goofy Scoopers. Well, in a cheeky musical nod, the Goofy Goobers manager looks at his watch and pointedly says,
Closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
which may just seem like a random line of dialogue, but this is actually a line directly quoting the famous Semisonic song, Closing Time, as that exact line is a lyric from the song Closing Time. And just saying, like, Closing Time is a famous song usually played to let people know, like, it's time to leave. Like, if you're ever at a bar or you're at a party or something and, like, somebody plays that song, it's usually a sign that it's time to go. I mean, not that I ever even leave my bedroom. I'm just in here researching SpongeBob videos all the time. But yeah, a cool little reference right here, but back to the plot. Soon, SpongeBob and Patrick learn that the Goofy Scoopers band has been fired and replaced by this futuristic DJ right here.
Sorry, but the Goofy Scoopers are the only ice cream-themed musical robot act we'll ever love.
Poor Goofy Scoopers. Here's the thing though, this whole forced retirement storyline thing is actually somewhat of a meta gag. For one, the Goofy Scoopers trio, Clem Clam, Rock T-Puss, and Bongos are clear parodies of a real-life animatronic pizza parlor band, like the Rock-a-Fire Explosion or Munch's Make-Believe band from Chuck E. Cheese. In fact, the plot of them being retired and replaced by a modern DJ references how Chuck E. Cheese has been phasing out its animatronic band during recent restaurant remodels. Pretty cool, but let's keep it going as there's even more trivia and Easter eggs in this episode. Which I'm just saying, you guys probably have noticed in these videos, we don't just talk about Easter eggs, we also talk about like fun facts about the episode and trivia. But I don't just talk about random trivia, I make sure it's like entertaining stuff. Like you gotta admit, I cover entertaining stuff. But yeah, this episode is also packed with cameos, as SpongeBob and Patrick go on a mission to find and reunite these scrapped robots. When they search the Bikini Bottom dump, you may be able to notice that Filthy Muck appears right here in the background at the ending of the scene.
Hey, what are you doing to my precious junkyard?
Filthy Muck is actually Patrick's dirt-covered alter ego from the season 12 episode, The Ballad of Filthy Muck. Essentially, it's Patrick so grimy, he becomes a walking sludge pile. Just imagine how bad that would smell, dude.
There's no stink that ever stank so rank, no stagnant mildew have the stank, as the stinky stank of Filthy Muck.
Seeing Filthy Muck get referenced here is pretty cool. It makes for an awesome Easter egg. It also somewhat ties this episode to past lore. Usually SpongeBob episodes are like one and done, but I love when there's actual continuity. Later, at the circus tent, SpongeBob and Patrick search for each Goofy Scoopers band member and eventually track down Clem Clam, the former keyboardist, only to find him terrified of clowns.
Just get me out of this crazy circus. I'm terrified of clowns, man.
In a quick gag, one of the evil clowns from the episode Don't Feed the Clowns pops up in the clip I just played. And this is an interesting Easter egg. Well, it's more of a blink and you'll miss it cameo, I guess, but it's also like a major deep cut here. Those clowns are not the most noteworthy characters. Kind of random and they were pretty forgettable, so I'm surprised to see them referenced as an Easter egg. Who knows, maybe one of the writers or art directors or something on this episode also did that episode, Don't Feed the Clowns, and snuck the clowns in as a reference, I don't know. But nonetheless, it's pretty cool, it's a cool reference. But even the voice casting actually contains some interesting lore or trivia here. I doubt you guys noticed, but if the character Clem Clam's voice sounds familiar, it's because he's voiced by Christopher G., the same actor who voiced SpongeBob's cousin, Stanley S. SquarePants, all the way back in season 5. Here's a clip of Clem Clam talking from this episode, Goofy Scoopers.
You can cool it, cats. Whatever your scheme is, I'm in.
And here's a clip of Stanley S. SquarePants talking back in season 5.
Uncle Sherm said I should come visit you. I have a note from him somewhere. Oh, right, it's in here. Here it is.
Well, that does it for Goofy Scoopers, but decent episode. It's not the best episode, but it's not the worst. And hey, all of those references and like all the trivia was really cool. But I've got more, and let's head into another episode. Our next episode, Squid Noir, drops us into a stylistic mystery in which Squidward turns detective, literally, to find his missing clarinet. And along the way, it dishes out some delicious cameos for observant fans. The episode opens at the Krusty Krab, with Squidward's jazz performance annoying everyone.
Make it stop!
Now, you may have missed it, but if you look at the crowd throughout the Krusty Krab, there's a rare character here. None other than Flats the Flounder, the bully from the Season 3 episode titled, well, The Bully.
Tell the class something about yourself, Flats.
Well, I like to kick people's butts.
Flats really has not been seen in ages, aside from a brief miscolored cameo at a party. Pretty sure this happens at the end of the episode, The Slumber Party. You can see him right here, miscolored. But aside from that, we haven't seen him since his original episode, pretty much. And I also love the fact that he's kind of like a background character. It's not like one of those Easter eggs where it's right up in your face. It's kind of subtle. And these types of things like expand the world of SpongeBob to me, because it shows that, you know, Flats the Flounder is like a regular Bikini Bottom citizen. He wasn't just exclusive to that one episode, but I'm rambling. Nerd Corey's coming out here. Can you guys tell that I really like SpongeBob? But back to the episode, when Squidward's beloved clarinet does vanish and the world turns black and white, a really cool effect by the way, the hunt for clues leads our heroes to a local comic book shop. Here, the animators pack the scene with inside references. For example, look closely at the shop's merchandise, and you'll spot action figures of several obscure characters. For example, the moth right here from the episode Nightlight. Nightlight is a random episode, and the moth is like a character who only appeared in that episode like one time.
Another thing. What the?
Even the background art of this scene gets playful. On the table, there's a gaming dice that features a staircase-shaped symbol, almost identical to the escalator icon from the board game Eels and Escalators. That board game appeared in Sailor Mouth, obviously, where SpongeBob and Patrick rolled dice marked with little eels and escalators instead of numbers. If we put them side by side, the die in Squid Noir has the same stylized stairs. However, the other symbol is different, I'll admit, so I don't know. But you guys know what I'm talking about here and see it. The stair or escalator icon is like identical. You know, it's probably possible that the prop designers of this episode reused the Eels and Escalators design for a generic comic shop dice asset, but who knows? In Camp SpongeBob, a Camp Coral episode set during SpongeBob's summer at camp as a kid, SpongeBob finds himself accidentally left all alone at Camp Coral. Rather than mope, our favorite sponge turns the deserted grounds into Camp SpongeBob, making the best of solitude. That is, until some friendly critters join him. This episode carries a breezy, zany tone, but it still sneaks in references bridging back to the main series. For instance, in one early scene, Patrick thinks he's chatting with SpongeBob, only to realize that he's been chatting to a box of Kelpo cereal.
I got mine, buddy! You're awfully quiet today, SpongeBob.
As you can see, Patrick is holding a yellow Kelpo's cereal box and actually thinks that it's SpongeBob. This absurd gag is actually a clever nod to the episode as seen on TV. And that classic season 3 episode, SpongeBob appears briefly in a Krusty Krab commercial, and later an elderly fish mistakes him for a box of Bran Flakes cereal. This also happens in a bunch of other episodes where SpongeBob has literally been mistaken for Kelpos before in particular. But back to the episode. Left to his own devices, SpongeBob soon attracts a large audience of forest animals to Camp SpongeBob, including sea bunnies, a sea serpent, and even a few wild clams.
Oh, hello! Would you like to join Camp SpongeBob? It's free for sea bunnies.
In a particularly charming sequence, two sea bunnies blow bubbles together for fun. They end up blowing a giant bubble in the shape of SpongeBob himself, which floats above them. As if on cue, an instrumental of the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song kicks in, just as the SpongeBob-shaped bubble pops in the air.
Ooh, who's that handsome fellow? My eyes!
episodes. It's a meta moment that breaks the fourth wall musically, with the characters literally inside the show acknowledging the theme song of the show. Throughout the episode, SpongeBob's camp adventures carry echoes of the main series. At one point, Patrick returns, having realized SpongeBob was left behind, and joins the fun, only to be trampled by a herd of meeping anchovies at the camp. This flows directly into the next Camp Coral episode. But even here, one could potentially say this was a callback, but I don't know. I mean, seeing anchovies swarming somebody while saying their trademark meep is always going to be reminiscent of Help Wanted, the first ever SpongeBob episode. More specifically, this scene right here.
Anchovies!
But I don't know, guys. I don't know if this is necessarily a reference. This is one where the SpongeBob wiki says that it's an Easter egg, but I don't fully agree, but I'm gonna include it anyways. However, I do agree with this next one. There's one moment in this scene where we see a bunch of clams acting very strangely, and we see Patrick observing them. And at one point, he makes this face right here. Now, if I do a side-by-side, this face is very similar to this scene from the episode Face Freeze.
How about an eye cross? And then
In this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick get addicted to making all of these strange comedic faces. However, it backfires when their faces freeze and don't go back to normal. Honestly, a really weird plot, but not a bad episode. It seems that even as a kid, Patrick had face freeze at times, I guess, huh? I mean, look at a side-by-side and that face is very similar, but it could also be a case of like the art team reusing a reference shot or something. I don't know. I'm just presenting all the facts, trivia, and Easter eggs to you guys, because I'm a nerd. Now, I will admit some of the Easter eggs and facts and stuff in this past episode, some of them were kind of reaching, but this next episode has a lot of really good stuff. Sharks vs. Pods from season 10 is an episode that wears its inspiration on its sleeve. A loving parody of West Side Story and 1950s greaser culture, while also digging into SpongeBob's own archives for some seriously cool callbacks. The premise finds SpongeBob falling in with a tough street crew of sharks, only to face off against a rival group of pods, cephalopods by the way, which is pretty much what Squidward is, and surprise, surprise, the leader of the pods is Squidward. Now, the title itself is actually riffing on the famous Sharks vs. Jets rivalry from the iconic film West Side Story, and originally, the episode was even stated to be titled Swimming with Sharks. But beyond the musical theater nods, this story deep dives into SpongeBob lore, and I know that's what you guys actually want here, so let's get into that. Early in the episode, as SpongeBob gets swept up in the shark's world, we catch a glimpse of his home decorated with a very meaningful keepsake.
I'll have to go into the witness protection program. I'll have to quit working at the Krusty Krab. I'll never flip a succulent Krabby Patty ever again. Oh, what have I done?
You guys may have missed it, but on the wall right here is a framed picture of the hydrodynamic spatula, the same one we talked about earlier in this video, the one he acquired back in Help Wanted. I love how SpongeBob's proudly displaying it like a trophy, and I'm sure back in Delivery of Doom, he had to take it out of retirement because we see him using it again there, right? A few moments later, as SpongeBob prepares for a climatic dance, there's still a couple more Easter eggs in this episode though, so let's keep it going. As SpongeBob later prepares for a climatic dance showdown with the pods to rescue his kidnapped pet snail Gary, he gears up in his garage, and in the background there's another gem for observant fans.
I have to go to the showdown! I have to get ready to fight.
I'm sure you guys caught this one, but SpongeBob's old license plate right here reads, "I'm ready." And this is a reference. I mean, this plate right here sounding out "I'm ready" was originally seen on SpongeBob's first boatmobile all the way back in season 3's No Free Rides. In that episode, Mrs. Puff awarded him a fake license and a paddy wagon. And as you can see here, it's pretty much the same license plate, although there is a little bit of a coloring change here. Moments like this show some crew members' dedication to continuity. SpongeBob saving sentimental scraps from old adventures, which adds a lot of personality to the world. Moving on though, one of the episode's most exciting surprises is the reappearance of Reg, the burly bouncer from the classic season 3 episode No Weenies Allowed. Reg originally stood guard at the Salty Spittoon, denying SpongeBob entry for not being tough enough.
How tough am I? How tough am I? I had a bowl of nails for breakfast this morning.
Yes, so?
Without any milk.
Right this way.
Reg returns in a similar capacity, at a fight club-like dance arena. Longtime viewers will immediately recognize his shaved head, sunglasses, and tattoo that famously said "Mom."
How tough am I?
Wow.
You may notice something different about it this time, as it's colored blue instead of its original red. Here's a side-by-side of Reg from No Weenies Allowed and Reg in this episode, and I don't know why they changed the color of the tattoo. Maybe this was an animator's way of sneaking this rare character into the episode, who knows. Regardless of the tattoo color though, seeing Reg again in any form is a treat. He was one of those one-off characters fans always remember, so it's cool to see him popping up again. And let's keep it going with more Easter eggs from this episode. Once the titular sharks and pods face off, the episode turns into a full-blown musical dance battle. The animators and writers seize this opportunity to reference one of SpongeBob's most beloved musical moments, Squidward's talent show dance from the iconic episode Culture Shock. During the showdown, the pods do one dance that is very, very similar. It isn't identical, but honestly it kind of is, as you can see here. I'm showing them side by side and I'm looping both clips, and yeah, the dance is very similar. It was honestly like the perfect moment for this type of callback, and it wasn't just thrown into the episode for the sake of Easter eggs. But beyond the SpongeBob specific Easter egg, this episode's entire framework pays homage to pop culture. The Sharks gang themselves are voiced by television icons. Water.
Thirsty?
It's no use. We'll never find the rare desert sandwich.
Our timeout recreates this gag with their younger selves, right down to Patrick's satisfied gulp and SpongeBob's dizzy reaction. Really cool stuff, and yeah, that's it for that episode. In the episode Delivery of Doom, SpongeBob is challenged to deliver a Krusty Krab order to the League of Evil's secret lair in under 10 minutes, or else the villains get to eat for free, Mr. Krabs' worst nightmare. The episode opens with a charmingly low-tech Krusty Krab commercial that Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob film themselves, using a hollowed-out television and crayon-drawn backdrop.
You can let the Krusty Krab make and deliver your meal for you.
Longtime fans will recognize this as a homage to SpongeBob's puppet TV gag from Season 3's Can You Spare a Dime, where SpongeBob put on a similar DIY show to cheer up Squidward. Speaking of evil, notably, the entrance to their lair is still through a dumpster.
Secret entrance.
This right here is a reference, as it was portrayed the exact same way back in the episode Captain Pipsqueak when Plankton sought out the League of Evil.
The villains escape to their secret underground lair.
In fact, when Mr. Krabs literally cannon launches SpongeBob towards the delivery address, he lands in that very dumpster portal. The door inside the dumpster is another blast from the past, as it's modeled after the classic evil logo seen in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5. From here though, SpongeBob's descent into the lair is filled with tons and tons of nostalgia. For one, as he free falls down Evil's secret chute, he whips out a very familiar spatula.
SpongeBob reached for his hydrodynamic spatula with port and starboard attachments.
This right here is another reference. This is SpongeBob's hydrodynamic spatula, the same high-tech spatula with port and starboard attachments that he first used in this clip from the very first SpongeBob episode ever, Help Wanted.
Did someone order a spatula?
Using the propeller spatula to slow his fall is both practical and a wink to fans remembering SpongeBob's fry cook initiation test. As remember, Mr. Krabs sent him to find this, not even knowing that this item existed. His goal was to have SpongeBob searching forever, that way he never has to see SpongeBob again.
We'll give you a test. Go out and fetch me a hydrodynamic spatula.
But back to Delivery of Doom. After landing, SpongeBob checks his watch, which is another really cool reference. This isn't the first time we've seen this item before. If we go back like 10 years ago, there was the episode Mermaid Man Begins, and this nifty piece of merchandise first appeared in that episode, when SpongeBob and Patrick donned all of their fanboy gear so that they could watch the first episode of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy together.
And?
It's time. It's time. It's time to fight evil.
By equipping SpongeBob with these vintage accessories, the spatula and Mermaid Man watch, the episode equips him and us with a sense of old school SpongeBob nostalgia. And this will continue. This episode has so many Easter eggs, guys. Whoever wrote this episode definitely wanted to show off their knowledge of SpongeBob lore. Inside the lair, SpongeBob essentially navigates a villain-themed obstacle course, and each room brims with references. First, he faces a familiar face. Well, maybe not so familiar, as this character is actually really rare. First up is Jumbo Shrimp, with SpongeBob facing off with him in a wrestling ring.
Jumbo Shrimp, the biggest name in bad behavior.
Now here's the thing, the Easter egg here isn't necessarily Jumbo Shrimp. Like, Jumbo Shrimp is kind of an Easter egg because he's a rare character, it's like a callback to older episodes. But what makes this one really special is that Jumbo Shrimp had a major, like, character redesign in later episodes. When he first appeared, he looked like this, like, humanoid, ripped, jacked version of Jumbo Shrimp.
The atomic flounder and the dreaded Jumbo Shrimp.
As you just saw, he was just like a static cutout used for a gag. But later on, they did like a complete switch up and changed him to this like six-legged version of him that does arguably look more like a legitimate villain.
Citizen Captain Pipsqueak. Captain Pipsqueak.
There's a moment where the bunny's going through SpongeBob's house and is destroying everything. We've talked about this before, and we get this one shot of SpongeBob's comic book collection. And as you can see, each issue is numbered, so we know the order that each of these issues released in. And if you look, there's 3 issues with Jumbo Shrimp on them. In the first one, issue number 3, we can see that he's using his original design, the more humanoid, jacked, shrimp version, without the mask or anything like that. Here's a side-by-side with the shot of him from Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2 and this comic book cover. But then this changes in issue number 5, where he's now wearing the mask and looks more evil, and then we get a full body shot of him in issue number 11. So my theory is that he started out looking like this, and then he started putting on the mask in the costume, which is what changed his design. This isn't canon, it's just a theory, but let's get back to this Easter egg because I just went off on like a whole mini tangent. The main point here is this is his more modern design, the redesign, and we haven't seen his original design for years. However, as you can imagine, this would change in Delivery of Doom.
You look bigger in the comics. Do you think you could sign this for me?
Oh, gladly. So,
So yeah, not only is it rare to even see this character, but it's the first time we've seen his original design in a while too. Speaking of bikini bottom superheroes and supervillains, we have another Easter egg related to this. In a similar vein, when SpongeBob shows Mr. Krabs the comic book he's brought along, closer to the start of the episode, we can see Miss appear on the cover of the comic book, and she's gone through a bit of a redesign. This time it's to resemble Sandy Cheeks' Broadway portrayal from the SpongeBob musical, with her being black and complete with a stylish afro. Miss Appear's look has actually evolved repeatedly over the years. For example, her initial cameo on a lunchbox in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5 showed her with bright red hair, but then later in the Bad Guys Club for Supervillains, her design changed again, with her outfit changing subtly, but her hair changing to be black. So it's interesting to see a third redesign here. As SpongeBob continues the delivery, he next stumbles into a kitchen set guarded by the infamous Dirty Bubble.
You certainly did, you simple-minded sponge!
There's a really cool Easter egg here, as the close-up shot of this faucet dripping right here, specifically when the Dirty Bubble comes out of it, is a direct reproduction shot from a Season 1 episode. If we go back to Squeaky Boots from, like I just said, Season 1, Mr. Krabs is tormented by the repetitive squeak of SpongeBob's boots, leading to a surreal montage of sounds, where Mr. Krabs is like absolutely tweaking, like the dude is like going crazy. But more importantly, there's this random extreme close-up shot of a dripping faucet, which also nearly drives Mr. Krabs mad.
Could the world's greatest fright?
It's a very weird scene, but over 20 years later, and we get a really cool reference. You know, it's the kind of blink and you miss it detail only diehard fans like myself would catch, and you need to see it side by side. You guys probably think I'm crazy, but as you can see right here, it's identical. I love Easter eggs like these ones, and I've got more. As when SpongeBob first enters the Dirty Bubble area of the lair, there's a certain photo on the wall that serves as a really cool Easter egg. This right here is called a recursive picture, a portrait that contains a smaller copy of itself that just repeats like forever within the picture. This is actually a running gag within SpongeBob's world that dates back to an old school episode like No Free Rides. There's also a recursive picture right here in this shot, a framed photo of Mrs. Puff at her door, included in the very same scene within itself. This also happened again with Mrs. Puff in the episode Potato Puff years later, with the artist slipping in another one of these cool little references. So it happening here in Delivery of Doom is like an intentional Easter egg. And dude, there's so many, there's even more. As this section of the episode continues, SpongeBob finds himself once again unintentionally besting the Dirty Bubble. Armed with his trusty pen, he innocently asks for an autograph, but he also ends up like killing him.
Ooh, can I get your autograph?
Oh, wait! Not again. Oh!
And this is where the reference comes in, as SpongeBob did the exact same thing like years ago in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2.
Can I have your autograph?
What's the point now?
And guess what? There's even some continuity here. In Delivery of Doom, upon bursting, the Dirty Bubble even groans, not again, directly referencing the first time where SpongeBob's pencil popped him back in that Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode I just mentioned. Finally, for this episode though, and then we'll talk about another one, SpongeBob reaches Man Ray, the last villain and the leader of evil, with mere seconds left on the delivery clock. Man Ray isn't interested in letting SpongeBob succeed, so he stalls until the time runs out, robbing SpongeBob of a win.
Delivery complete!
Yes, but it was
1 second late.
From here, Man Ray reveals the League's dirty little secret. Evil is completely broke. They've lost all their money. To prove it, he holds up an empty wallet. Notably, it's one of Patrick's wallets from the episode Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 3. The very same one from Patrick's Is This Your Wallet bit.
You've dropped your wallet.
Doesn't look familiar to me.
I just saw you drop it. Yeah.
Nope, it's not mine.
At the very end of the episode, as the hungry evildoers dig into their food, we're treated to a final buffet of callbacks. Among the items SpongeBob delivers are a crusty kids meal with the same box from the episode Mermaid Man vs. SpongeBob, as well as a Patty Pal toy, another callback to the episode Yours, Mine, and Mine. And with that, holy, I'm out of breath. We're finally done with that episode. That was a lot of Easter eggs, guys. Oh my gosh. Also, guys, I just want to say real quick, and I'm going to get right back to the content, don't don't worry. But please subscribe, guys. I'm like one of the only non-AI SpongeBob channels right here. I put a lot of time into these videos, confirming every Easter egg I talk about. And like, it's just a lot of time, and I love doing it. I'm very passionate about SpongeBob. I'm very passionate about SpongeBob. Let me correct my pronunciation. Just showing you I'm real. So please subscribe. And yeah, back to the video. Let's talk about more Easter eggs in another episode. Let's switch up the flow on this next one and talk about Camp Coral, the SpongeBob spinoff that is completely overhated, guys. Like, the show is not that bad. It's for kids. It's meant to be like a SpongeBob spinoff for kids, but I'll see grown adult men like me like complaining about the show. And it's okay. We can agree to disagree. If you don't like Camp Coral, it's fine. Don't hate me just because I don't hate it. But anyways, we're gonna talk about Camp Coral, more specifically the episode Cabin of Curiosities, as Easter eggs aren't just limited to regular SpongeBob, they're also in the spin-offs as well. In Cabin of Curiosities, young SpongeBob and Patrick are trying to earn a friendship badge in venture. You hungry, buddy? Good boy. My dog decided to take a bite of his food while I was doing voiceover, and I love him for it. He's looking at me right now. Here's a photo of him. See, that's how you know I'm really not an AI channel, as who would stop in the middle of a video to shout out their dog? And that's not an AI dog. Okay, so yeah, please subscribe. Anyways, though, this has been the longest intro ever, but basically in this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick end up like veering off into the eerie woods at night by accident and end up inside this mysterious cabin where they meet a crew of creepy, cute characters. There's a vampire kid and other monster-themed campers who only come out after dark.
That is my web. I spun it this morning.
Oh, nice work! You do free alterations?
This lead little vampire introduces himself as Kid Furatsu, a name that immediately rang a bell for me because I love SpongeBob. For those who don't know, this is a playful spin on Nosferatu, the classic horror vampire who made an unforgettable cameo in the SpongeBob episode Graveyard Shift.
Nosferatu!
In that infamous season 2 scene, a live-action Nosferatu flickered the lights of the Krusty Krab, surprising everyone and becoming a long-time gag within the show. In the SpongeBob SquarePants prequel, Camp Coral, Nosferatu's legacy lives on as we meet a kid version of Nosferatu, or maybe a distant relative. Nonetheless, Nosferatu appearing in Camp Coral is a cool Easter egg here. He's pretty much like a random SpongeBob character, so the fact that the writers and art team remembered to include him here is awesome. And there's actually another thing I want to discuss when it comes to this episode. As it continues, the Monster Cabin kids spend the night scaring and then befriending SpongeBob and Patrick, showing them a frightful fun time until dawn approaches. In a scene that mirrors vampire lore, Kid Furatsu and his creepy cabin mates disintegrate when the first rays of sunlight hit them. They literally crumble into dust as the sun rises, much to SpongeBob and Patrick's shock. Here's the issue. This dramatic exit seems to imply the monster kids are creatures of the night only. However, dedicated viewers of Camp Coral noticed a funny continuity hiccup. These very same characters later appear in broad daylight in like other Camp Coral episodes. The production team definitely made a little bit of a mistake here, but fortunately that mistake is interesting, thus turning it into a fun fact. And I've got more fun facts, trivia, and Easter eggs to come, so let's keep it rolling. Let's talk about the episode Exchange Student Driver, a new one from season 16. When Mrs. Puff enrolls SpongeBob in a faraway driving school exchange program just to get rid of him, can't really blame her, our absorbent hero finds himself in a familiar location, Clopnod, a bizarre town where reckless driving is the norm, so SpongeBob fits right in. The premise flips the usual boating school formula, where SpongeBob's chaotic driving style, which is normally a nightmare in Bikini Bottom, like this guy has nearly killed people before, turns out to be perfect in Clopnod. In fact, he performs so well and is such a standout student that the Clopnodian instructor awards SpongeBob with a driver's license, carved on a turnip, no less. And this is where our first Easter egg, well, I guess this is more of a fact, comes in. And don't worry, just saying, there are a ton of Easter eggs coming up, so stay tuned. This one's just really interesting, and it's actually kind of controversial. As if you go to the comments of the fandom page of this episode, you'll see that there's a lot of people upset at the fact that SpongeBob received his license, and I'll explain why. Creator Steven Hillenburg, the person who created Bikini Bottom, made SpongeBob like the OG of SpongeBob, famously said that SpongeBob should never permanently earn his license. Why? Well, to preserve the comedic tension with Mrs. Puff, which is a big part of many episodes, including this episode, Exchange Student Driver, but also to fulfill Nickelodeon's mandate that the show should revolve around a school setting and a teacher character. For those of you who don't know this, Mrs. Puff was a character that Nickelodeon pretty much demanded. They basically told Steven Hillenburg that if you're going to make a show like this, there needs to be some educational aspect to it, which is why SpongeBob goes to boating school and learns, though if you really think about it, the dude never really progresses. Well, at least he does in this episode, but that's the issue here. However, there's actually a workaround for this. By giving SpongeBob a license only in Clopnod, the episode cleverly skirts Hillenburg's rule without technically breaking it, since SpongeBob still isn't licensed in Bikini Bottom. He got his license in Clopnod, a completely different location. Let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments, but do you think that because it happened in a different location that it makes it okay? But yeah, a fun fact about this episode I wanted to talk about, but let's get into an actual Easter egg here. As throughout this episode, as it progresses and we see SpongeBob at Mrs. Puff's boating school, longtime viewers may catch a classroom callback in this episode. This thing right here is the Good Noodle Board, Mrs. Puff's star chart, or basically like a chart for how she tracks the behavior of her students. It made its first appearance years ago, like 25 years ago, back in the classic episode, one of my favorites, New Student Starfish, where SpongeBob shows Patrick the board and explains its function before class.
Those drinks are recorded here on the Good Noodle Board.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
Whoa!
SpongeBob in this episode eventually actually gets in trouble thanks to Patrick and loses one of his stars.
Turning, it is important to signal at least 50 feet from the
Big
turn.
fat meanie, you can't do that. She's the teacher.
What about the teacher? What? As if I really look like this.
Well, it's really cool to see it pop up again in this episode, and it shows that whoever wrote this episode knows their stuff. They're a real SpongeBob fan. As there's been other episodes that have shown Mrs. Puff's classroom, like the classroom at the boating school, and the Good Noodle Board is not there. So this was intentional. Also, just saying, I don't normally do this, but if this Easter egg sounds familiar, it's because there's a very similar one in another episode that I covered recently, where the Good Noodle Board popped up again. So yeah, just saying, this was a new Easter egg. Moving on though, I've got some more Easter eggs for you guys in the form of character cameos. And of course, all the cameos here are characters that are pretty rare. We're gonna be covering more cameos in other episodes in this video, so stay tuned. But let's get into it. As I mentioned, Mrs. Puff sends SpongeBob on like a boat driving exchange student thing, where he's being sent to Clopnod. And we get this scene where we see the travel there with a map. And there are a bunch of deep cut references on here. And I'm very proud, as they're ones that the SpongeBob fandom wiki hasn't even found yet. For one, just as the boat is approaching no man's land, we'll see right here that these are the trench monsters from the 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Now you might not see it right away because there's just eyes, but this is specifically a reference to when SpongeBob and Patrick are walking through right here, and as you can see, there's all of these different eyes. Also, they're very clearly like on the map in trenches, so yeah, this is a subtle reference right here, but it's definitely a reference. However, the next two are way more blatant. For example, just passing no man's land, we can see the Cyclops character from the same 2004 SpongeBob movie. This character right here, we can see that his leg or his boot is put down on the no man's land area of the map. Pretty cool. And if you were questioning the last two, here's one that absolutely confirms it. In that 2004 SpongeBob movie, we were introduced to Maximus, this character right here. And what I really want you to pay attention to is the small traffic light at the top of his head acting like a lantern of a glowfish. As if we go back to that same map part, look, Maximus is right here. The colors are slightly off, as you can see in this side by side, but the reason we know for sure is that traffic light on top of his head right here, which basically reaffirms the other two Easter eggs I was mentioning of the trench monsters and of the Cyclops, who also all appeared in that original 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants movie. movie. I imagine that whoever, like the production team around this episode, exchange student driver, one of them probably worked on the movie or something in the past, but who knows? One other thing I want to talk about real quickly, and then we'll head into more Easter eggs in another episode, guys. Stay tuned because I've got some of the coolest Easter eggs coming up, but here's some behind the scenes stuff about this episode. As remember how I said SpongeBob got his license on a turnip? We actually got to see the process of how this came to life, with Shane Richardson, Hannah Hong, George N, and Amy L sharing these drawings online, where we can see the first process of the photo, the second process of the photo, then we can see the shot in the episode where it's blank, and then finally this shot where we can actually see the driver's license text. And fun fact, these were originally painted before being scanned in with the lines drawn digitally. So some really cool stuff right there, but let's head over to another episode. So I guess this next one is less of an Easter egg and more of a theory. In the episode Con Castaways, SpongeBob and the gang find themselves lost in a random forest. Now throughout the episode, the forest isn't given an actual name, but a lot of people online speculate that this could be Kelp Forest, the same forest from the iconic Season 3 episode Club SpongeBob. We don't know for sure, but if you need some more proof, it seems the title card for Con Castaways is taken from a background scene of Club SpongeBob. In SpongeBob, every episode has a production code, and sometimes these production codes will be hidden in episodes as Easter eggs. So, as you can imagine, this is exactly the case in the episode Food PBFFT Truck, as one of the signs at the Rock Bottom Mall reads SB138, which is actually a reference to the production code of the Season 1 episode Rock Bottom, which makes sense because it's in the Rock Bottom Mall. So yeah, it's very subtle, but boy, is it cool to see such an iconic episode referenced in the modern day. So as you guys have probably heard, the consensus for SpongeBob's spin-off show, Camp Coral, is pretty negative. I mean, if you just search it on YouTube, there are tons of videos of people criticizing it, and I get it. The show definitely was a little bit of a cash grab, but if you ever hear somebody say that Nickelodeon went against Steven Hillenburg's wishes with Camp Coral, or that he didn't want the show to happen, it's come out that that is not true. And let's talk about that for a second, and then we're gonna get into more Easter eggs in a Camp Coral episode. But this, in and of itself, is a fact and is some trivia. In a 2001 interview with multiple SpongeBob production members, it was revealed that Steven absolutely knew about the show. He was weary about the CGI aspect of the show, but he was working on it and knew it was happening. Furthermore, Vincent Waller, another big member of SpongeBob's production, also went on to say that Steve absolutely knew about the show. The only thing we don't know is how he would have felt about the final product, as unfortunately he passed away before he could see that. But Vincent explains that Steve specifically left him and the rest of the team in charge and trusted them to guard his creation to the best of their ability. And it seems like they're doing that. So there's a little bit of trivia about Camp Coral for you right there. Nickelodeon didn't just force this show to happen like a lot of people think, but let's get back to the original Easter egg I was going to talk about. And it's from the Camp Coral episode Game Night, which is actually a really good episode and a good example of how good this show actually can be. This episode shifts the spotlight from SpongeBob to SpongeBob's summer camp counselors, youthful versions of Mr. Krabs, Mrs. Puff, and Plankton, as they sneak away from the campers for a grown-ups evening of board games. Well, this episode is a treasure trove of playful references, especially when it comes to the board games that they choose to play, with each one spoofing a real-world classic in a character-appropriate way. It's actually some really good writing here. Plankton excitedly suggests a game called Peril, the game of undersea conquest, clearly a parody of the global domination board game Risk, a perfect fit for Plankton's world domination obsession, and a cool reference to a real-life board game. Another reference can be found when Mr. Krabs counters with Money-opoly, a not-so-subtle nod to Monopoly, with the mascot looking exactly like Monopoly's Mr. Moneybags. He also looks like somebody else, you guys may have noticed, but he looks familiar to a certain Spongy dad. I mean, if we do a side-by-side, like, the mascot looks almost identical to SpongeBob's dad. A potentially intentional Easter egg that suggests that Harold SquarePants has another job in this universe. But moving on, Mrs. Puff shoots them both down, grumbling that Mr. Krabs always plays the bank and always wins, a wink to anyone who's caught a cheater swiping extra cash when acting as the banker in real-life Monopoly. Funnily enough, in the dialogue, it's recalled that the last time they played Slot Boat Racers, Mr. Krabs accidentally ran over Plankton's leg. This setup delivers a double Easter egg, as Plankton gripes about about his still healing leg, we suddenly get a close-up and hear the famous line, "My leg," coming probably from the character Fred.
My leg is still healing. His leg!
But beyond the games themselves, the episode Game Night hides a sweet callback to SpongeBob's childhood comforts. When SpongeBob barges in on the secret gathering with an emergency, we learn that he's upset because his teddy bear is missing, only for it to turn up under his bunk bed covers later on. What a waste of time. But the teddy bear's design, a cute brown stuffed bear, will probably ring a bell for fans of the episode Skill Crane. In that episode, SpongeBob wins a very similar looking teddy from a carnival crane machine. The Camp Coral teddy isn't explicitly named, but its appearance feels like a tip of the hat to Skill Crane, showing that SpongeBob's affection for cuddly bears spans across his life. That, or it was just written that he would have a teddy bear, and because it's a generic teddy bear, it just turns out to be an Easter egg. But good job, because they accidentally made an Easter egg here, and it's actually a pretty cool one. Now, I'm almost done with this episode, but one more cheeky detail in Game Night is that there's a lot of jokes that are aimed primarily at grown-ups in the audience, as opposed to kids. For example, as the counselors set up their game, Mrs. Puff pours drinks into plastic solo cups. And there's another scene where Mr. Krabs conveniently sips on his cup, remarking that these child-free evenings are the only thing keeping me sane.
You know, sometimes I think these adult-only nights are the only thing keeping me sanity in check.
Though never clearly stated, the scene strongly implies that the adults are enjoying some camp punch. I don't know for sure, but I do think that this was meant to be one of those types of jokes right here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments though. This next one also has to do with our favorite seahorse, Mystery. So let's skip the plot summary and get right into the Easter egg, as Mystery makes a really cool, and I mean really cool, cameo in the episode Gary and Spot, and can be seen during this dance party scene. Oh, also, the classic character, Pluffy Fluffy, from the episode A Pal for Gary, you might remember it like turns into a monster, also makes an appearance in this episode. It can be seen in this cage during this scene, thus making for another nostalgic Easter egg. So this next one is a bit of a deep cut, so get ready, as what the episode references is very subtle. I didn't even realize it at first. In the episode Ghost Host, the Flying Dutchman realizes that he's lost his scary mojo. So to try and sharpen his skills, he tries to scare both SpongeBob and Squidward. It doesn't go very well, but during one of his attempts to scare SpongeBob, he transforms into this big red bug thing. And honestly, since this episode, we haven't really seen it since, but it seems that this exact transformation is referenced in the episode Ink Lemonade, as during this scene, where Squidward first enters the creepy nursery, there is a picture of this exact same big red bug that the Flying Dutchman turned into on the wall, thus making for, like I said, a really deep cut in terms of Easter eggs. Like, the Flying Dutchman transforms 50+ times in Ghost Host, so it's interesting that they chose this one to reference in particular. The episode Go Fetch stands out in SpongeBob history as the first fully CGI animated episode of the series, and it uses unique visuals to drive into a simple, sweet adventure. Gary's favorite red ball bounces into a deep, monster-filled trench, and SpongeBob loyally plunges in after it.
Good thing this huge pile of lost balls broke our fall.
From the very start, the animators hid references in the background art, but not all of it made it into the final episode. For example, early concept paintings for the trench include scenery modeled after SpongeBob's Season 1 episode, Muscle Bob Buff Pants. And there's also a scene that didn't make it into the episode, resembling imagery from SpongeBob's Season 4 episode, Have You Seen This Snail? Which is fitting because this episode does follow a similar plot. Now these are subtle nods. A rock formation here, a lighting setup there, that gives long viewers a warm sense of deja vu as SpongeBob and Gary descend through the dark depths. But the treasures of Go Fetch aren't just in the scenery, they're also in the props and characters. Gary's coveted red ball is a direct continuity nod to the episode Gary's New Toy from Season 9, where Gary becomes obsessed with this toy.
Go and get it.
As you can see, this ball is very similar to the one in Go Fetch. In fact, the ball here is actually identical to the one to that episode, down to its color and pattern. Seeing Gary refuse to give up on his toy is extra rewarding if you recall how much the snail loved his bouncy ball back in Gary's new toy. The thing became obsessed with the toy. I don't know why I just called Gary a thing, but he was obsessed with that ball. And there's more. As SpongeBob chases Gary's ball deeper, they encounter a ghostly translucent fish lurking in the abyss. And if you're a true SpongeBob fan, you'll recognize the design, as it bears a striking resemblance to a quirky character from the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. In the movie, a similarly transparent floater appears during the trench scene, and here that design resurfaces as if the film and show have converged. It's a blink and you'll miss it cameo, but a thrilling one, to be honest. It's really cool to see a reference to that OG 2004 SpongeBob movie. If you haven't watched that, seriously go watch it, it's really good. Now, despite being a modern technical showpiece, like this is the first episode in 3D animation, and hopefully it's the last. I like 2D SpongeBob, but this one still feels almost nostalgic in spirit. It even includes a gentle tribute to the late Steven Hillenburg's storytelling style, mostly visual, adventurous, and guided by music and expression, and all without saying a word. So really good episode, and I've got more. Let's head over to more Easter eggs in this next episode. Next up is the episode Gorilla Suit Day, another one from season 16. I've been covering tons of new episodes in this video, just saying, so please subscribe. But if you're a true SpongeBob fan, the episode name Gorilla Suit Day should already kind of give you an idea of one of the Easter eggs here. But like I said, you gotta be a hardcore SpongeBob fan. But we'll get there. So the premise itself of this episode is really fun. On the annual Gorilla Suit Day, SpongeBob dons a full-body gorilla costume, and with Patrick's help, plans to prank the whole town. Right from SpongeBob's morning routine, the episode starts referencing classic SpongeBob moments. For one, when SpongeBob wakes up, he excitedly checks a giant calendar on his bedroom wall. And this itself is a reference, as if we rewind back to the season 1 episode Boating School, take a look at this scene.
This is it, Gary. The big boating exam is today. I've never felt so capable!
Here's a side-by-side, and yeah, those are the two exact same calendars. So a cool Easter egg there again, but let's keep it moving. SpongeBob then enthusiastically swings on a vine and launches himself into the calendar to mark the date, which is also another direct homage to Boating School, as you guys just saw. The only difference this time, and I'm showing it side-by-side and looping them, is that he's imitating Tarzan instead of using his bed as a catapult. And here's another fun fact for you guys about this episode. As you heard, SpongeBob did like a Tarzan-like roar just now. And funnily enough, the sound clip that was used for this is actually a recycled clip, as listen to this scene from the episode Who Are Zoo. Yeah, the animators or the editors were feeling kind of lazy, and they used the exact same sound effect and recycled it in this episode. Also, the whole gorilla suit thing seems to be somewhat of a reference to the episode I Had an Accident, as at the end of that episode, Patrick dresses up in a gorilla outfit. We're not done with this one yet though. As SpongeBob struts around in his gorilla outfit, eagle-eyed viewers might notice a familiar design. The gorilla suit he wears looks identical to the one he briefly tried on in the season 6 episode Boating Buddy. Except in this episode, the fur is gray rather than brown. In my opinion, guys, I think that this one's a reach, but if you were to go on like the SpongeBob Reddit, I've seen people debating if this is an Easter egg, so don't blame me, I'm just presenting it to you. Later, when SpongeBob tears apart the house in a panic because he gets stuck in the suit and starts being mistaken for a real gorilla, he starts searching for his trusty spatula. And listen closely as he calls it something specific.
Spatty? Spatty!
As you heard, SpongeBob referred to his spatula calling it Spatty. And if we listen to how SpongeBob refers to his spatula in an older episode, Spatula of the Heavens, listen, he calls it the same thing.
My spatula's broken, Mr. Krabs. I can't make Krabby Patties without Spatty!
This episode also adds to a running gag about Mr. Krabs and deep fryers. Unfortunately for our favorite crab over here, there have been numerous instances in older episodes where Mr. Krabs has just straight up gotten deep fried. For example, take a look at this clip from the episode Whatever Happened to SpongeBob.
Mr. Krabs, are you okay?
I'm fine.
Ouch, that definitely hurt. And it happened again in the episode Mermaid Pants. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling pretty hungry now, but that's not what we're here for, as this gag of Mr. Krabs getting deep fried was actually referenced in Gorilla Suit Day. As take a look at this scene.
You can't fry me. I'm not even better. I hate Gorilla Suit Day.
Hey, at least it happens off camera this time, but that sounded like it really hurt. Turns out though that Mr. Krabs isn't the only person to get hurt in this episode. For one more final meta gag or reference, Squidward ends up getting physically squashed by a rampaging real gorilla that appears, which is a callback to the episode I mentioned earlier, I Had an Accident, where something very similar happens. By the end of the episode, the town is in chaos, but fans are treated to a treasure trove of references. From SpongeBob's calendar shenanigans to Mr. Krabs getting deep fried, this episode's a good one with lots of Easter eggs. I recommend it. Our next Easter egg revolves around the season 1 episode, Muscle Bob Buff Pants. After getting roasted by Sandy for not being as strong or fit, SpongeBob resorts to some interesting methods to prove her wrong, and purchases a new product he sees on TV known as anchor arms. These things are pretty much gloves that can be inflated with air to look like muscles, and SpongeBob is sold pretty fast after seeing the commercial, with him ordering himself a pair so he can lie and flex on all of his friends. Well, this devious product is actually referenced in the season 11 episode Handmonium. Right at the beginning of the episode, we see the outside of Larry's gym, and if you look closely, there is graffiti that reads anchor arms are for wimps, thus making a direct reference to the classic season 1 episode. There's also another Easter egg here, but let me know in the comments if you spotted it. The episode Heart of Garbage, another one from season 16, plunges Bikini Bottom into dystopian chaos when Squidward's home becomes ground zero for an ever-growing mountain of trash. Ew. Like, look at this, I can smell it from here. It reminds me of SpongeBob's breath back in the episode Something Smells. It also reminds me of something else, but we'll get to that in a moment. In a storyline that is part parody, part homage, Squidward accidentally angers the garbage men and ends up literally trapped in garbage for 6 months.
The trash goes in the truck, not on my lawn. Just put the garbage where it's supposed to go.
Dude, imagine being trapped in garbage for that long. Oh my god. Just imagine how bad Squidward smells right now. But more importantly, guys, this is actually a reference to something. This riffs on Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness and its famous film adaptation Apocalypse Now. The entire episode functions as a playful underwater echo of that classic tale. And I mean, just look at the plot. SpongeBob and Patrick must venture through a garbage jungle to find Squidward, much like Marlowe taking a journey up a river to find Kurtz.
You made it this far, but you still must pass the booby traps up ahead.
Please!
This homage is acknowledged right in the title as well. I mean, it's called Heart of Garbage, which is a direct spoof of Heart of Darkness. Also, fun fact, longtime viewers will recall that this isn't the first time that Squidward's house has been overtaken by trash. Back in season 7's Keep Bikini Bottom Beautiful, SpongeBob once helped Squidward avoid littering fines by moving all of his litter to his house, thus turning his house into a house of garbage, complete with trash furniture and a trash bed. I don't think that bed would be very comfy, guys. Like right now, you're probably in bed watching this video. Imagine if you were in that garbage bed, you would not be getting any sleep. But anyways, Heart of Garbage hilariously encapsulates that concept. But instead of a one-off slight gag, the entire interior of Squidward's real house becomes a sprawling garbage labyrinth that SpongeBob and Patrick have to navigate. The episode Hog Hunting follows SpongeBob and Patrick on a wild countryside adventure, tracking down Old Man Jakin's prized wormhog, a pig-like critter, after it goes missing.
You keep your hands off my beautiful Beulah!
I wasn't touching her, I was just, admiring her beauty.
Meow.
This episode dives into a ton of good humor that plays into the whole countryman stereotype. Think barnyards, beards, and backwoods shenanigans pretty much. It's a good episode. But it also hides a couple of clever pop culture parodies. One of the first gags comes when SpongeBob stumbles on Old Man Jenkins watching his favorite soap opera, Days of Our Styes. For those of you who don't know, this title is a really funny little goof referencing the long-running soap opera, Days of Our Lives. The show's writers are clearly winking at the audience here. Bikini Bottom has its own version of Days of Our Lives, only with hogs instead of people. And if that sounds familiar, it's because SpongeBob has spoofed this exact soap opera before in the episode Wary Gary. This one is a snail-focused drama called Snails of Our Lives, played on TV as a pet parody of the same series. Later in this episode, Hog Hunting treats us to a musical Easter egg that's perfectly in tune with the episode's country western vibe. SpongeBob and Patrick end up literally living in Old Man Jenkins' enormous beard for a while. Long story short, hiding from an angry Jenkins after a failed hog catching attempt. During their cozy exile in his facial hair, and sings a delightful ditty titled Home in a Beard. Take a listen, but we can't play it for too long because I'm not trying to get destroyed by copyright.
Home in a beard, where the whiskers and stubble are weird.
If the melody and theme sound old-timey to you, that's by design. Home in a Beard is a direct parody of the classic American folk song Home on the Range. The original 1972 song famously yearns for life on the open prairie, whereas SpongeBob's version yearns for, well, the comfort of living in a bristly old beard. I cannot relate. Between the soap opera spoofs and folk song parodies, Hog Hunting shows that even in jellyfish fields and barns, SpongeBob's world is never far from ours, or from its own past jokes. Next up is Hot Pearl Tato, another episode from Camp Coral. When a baby pearl crabs shows up at Camp Coral, SpongeBob and friends struggle to babysit the mighty infant. I mean, considering how much of a pain Pearl is like in regular SpongeBob, just imagine like baby Pearl. This girl one time almost flooded the entire Krusty Krab because she couldn't find a date to prom.
Here, take SpongeBob!
The fry cook? Do you know what that would do to my complexion? People will mistake me for a planetarium.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
So just imagine a baby version of her, oh my god. As I expected, she's a handful, crawling off into the woods, which leads to some wild encounters with mythical camp critters. In one scene, SpongeBob's camp buddies, Bubble Bass, Kevin, and Harvey, break out a board game called Escape from Mom's Basement. This hilarious fictional game is a wink at adult Bubble Bass's well-known living situation. I mean, also here's a side-by-side, as this game, Escape from Mom's Basement, basically looks exactly like adult Bubble Bass's actual setup in his mom's basement. And yeah, this is definitely the writers having a little bit of fun here. Later on in the episode, as SpongeBob and Squidward chase baby Pearl through the kelp forest, they bounce off a slumbering giant creature. And this thing should be familiar to you guys. It's a sea moose, also known as a moose snail. Now, eagle-eyed fans may recognize this beast, as it first appeared in the main series episode, A Cabin in the Kelp, blocking the Gal Pals road trip. Seeing it here marks the creature's return, now in a CG form, as it swats at SpongeBob and Squidward until Pearl shows off her inherited strength. The episode even brings in a campfire legend, a sea bear. And for those of you who don't know, the sea bear first appeared in the episode, The Camping Episode.
Maybe it's because you're not wearing your sombrero in a goofy fashion.
You mean like this?
No, like that.
It's had a few brief appearances since then, but its main role has been in the camping episode from season 3 where it beats up Squidward. So it appearing here is definitely some sort of reference. So yeah, lots of interesting Easter eggs in this episode, and let's keep it moving. Hysterical History, here's the first Easter egg.
Please.
That's really cool. So as you just seen there, King Neptune's crown from the first 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants movie appears in a glass case at the museum entrance. A really cool reference to literally the best SpongeBob movie, just saying. Here's Easter egg number 2.
Wow! Wow! A genuine antique rock! The pioneers used to ride these babies for miles!
I love this one. I'm not 100% sure if this is an intentional Easter egg, but I also really do think it is. As you've seen in Pizza Delivery, SpongeBob makes a comment about being able to ride a rock, and then he literally even rides the rock in the episode. And it seems this is referenced in Hysterical History, because as you guys just heard, SpongeBob looks at this antique rock and says that the pioneers used to ride these babies for miles. And the rock is even rideable, just like in Pizza Delivery. So cool. Let's keep it going though. More Easter eggs are coming up.
A gazillion years ago, Bikini Top was hit by a humongous anchor.
It's really quick, but Primitive SpongeBob and Primitive Patrick from SB129 reappear during the Bikini Bottom origin scene. Also, the prehistoric location and houses from UGG also reappear in the scene.
Pioneers have to watch out for those dirty, stinky outlaws.
It's the Grungy Gang! Ooh, I knew something smelled fishy.
This Easter egg is more of like a recent one, so I understand some of you guys not getting it. But if you look at these guys that are a part of the Grungy Gang, they're actually the same cowboys from the season 13 episode, A Skin Wrinkle in Time.
Psychedelic Sea Era.
Yeah, so who remembers SpongeBob's Last Stand? Patrick and SpongeBob, they like protest the demolition of Jellyfish Fields, and they dressed like hipster versions of themselves. Well, they make a reappearance in this scene right here, and they look as chill as ever. Next up is the episode In Search of Camp Nudist. In this episode, SpongeBob and friends hear a rumor of a secret nudist camp in the woods. Yes, you read that right. So the group set off on a curious quest to find it. SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy tromp through the forest in search of the fabled Camp Nudist, while camp counselors Mr. Krabs and Squidward chase after them in a panic. I mean, they definitely don't want a bunch of kids stumbling onto naked campers, right? As the hike wears on, Squidward grows exhausted, and this is where we could find an Easter egg. In a dramatized moment, Squidward collapses and wheezes for Camp Master Krabs to go on without him, and what follows is a cheeky nod to SpongeBob's own theme song. Mr. Krabs shrugs and immediately marches ahead while whistling this. Roll the clip.
You'll have to go on without me.
Okay.
What? Wait, hey, don't leave me alone out here!
It's a blink and you'll miss it Easter egg that longtime viewers instantly recognize, as Mr. Krabs just sang the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song, or at least a very similar version of it. I'm gonna keep these clips short just because I don't want to get destroyed by copyright, but here's like 2 seconds of the SpongeBob theme.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
And if you listen here, Mr. Krabs plays pretty much the same thing. I'm gonna play it again. Here's like 2 seconds of that.
Wait, hey!
Really cool, but let's head over to another episode. Just a little reminder that if you're still awake, you should be sleeping. And if you're still awake, you might as well grab your phone and subscribe to us. Please do it. I'm trying to hit 10K and we're really close. So if you enjoy my videos, I'd really appreciate it. At least I'm not like all those other crappy AI SpongeBob channels. I'm a real person. I'm gonna be doing my face reveal soon. This is my actual voice. Blah, 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 blah. There's no AI. All right, go and make AI do that, but I'll do it on camera soon to prove it. But make sure to subscribe, guys. I love you. And back to the video with some more Easter eggs. Our next Easter egg can be found in the season 13 episode, Upturn Girls. I know we've covered it a lot recently, but this Easter egg is really cool and new, but it is a little complicated, so pay attention. In the episode, Squeaky Boots, it's Pearl's birthday. So we learn about flipper slippers, new shoes that are a bit of a fad amongst teenagers and seem to be especially popular with young girls. Pearl wanted these for her birthday. She doesn't get them, but all of her friends wear them. And we know that Pearl really likes these and really likes shoes. Well, it seems that these shoes are referenced in the episode Upturn Girls, as when Pearl and Narlene enter the shoe area, there is a poster on the wall for what seems to be new, updated, or evolved versions of the shoes. I know this for sure because at one angle, we can see at the bottom that the shoes are by Flipper. And like I said, the shoes that they're referencing are called flipper slippers.
Oh Don't forget my new flipper slippers, Daddy.
Definitely a really cool Easter egg here. Whoever wrote this episode, this is a really cool one. Next up is the episode Upward from SpongeBob season 15. This episode's all about Lady Upturn, which is really cool. I don't know if you guys noticed, but around like season 10 or season 11, Lady Upturn became like a regular occurring side character within the show. Like she appears just as much as like Larry the lobster, if you think about it. But yeah, in this episode, Squidward and Lady Upturn actually become like besties. They become really good friends.
Regigild, pay the man.
You can't just buy the soul of a raw talent like myself. Lady, you just bought yourself an artist.
And remember, Lady Upturn is like a rich lady. She's like a Karen pretty much, but a rich Karen, and all of her friends are snobby. And a big plot point in this episode is her introducing Squidward to all of her friends. It actually makes for a really good episode because if you think about it, Squidward and Lady Upturn are kind of similar. So, you know, but yeah, here's some clips of this. It's really funny, and then we're gonna get right into what you clicked on the video for.
Oh my, it's incredible. But where are you going to live?
The mansion is mine. I cannot wait to show you off to my wealthy, taste-making friends. So you better get writing.
Yes, ma'am.
Like I said, it's a really good episode, and it's cool to see somebody actually supporting Squidward's dreams of being a musician for once. You know, everybody else just takes a big poop on his clarinet playing, but Lady Upturn actually invests money in Squidward. But anyways, let's get into what you guys actually clicked on this video for, and that's for some SpongeBob Easter eggs. Here's the first one, and here's how it's gonna work. I'm gonna play the Easter egg, and then I'll come back in and explain it for you guys, okay? Let's do it.
Lady Upturn! Always a delight to have you back at our gallery.
What do you have that's new and interesting? Nick!
Alright, so let me explain. When it comes to cartoons like SpongeBob or any other like Saturday morning kids cartoon, there's always going to be certain locations introduced that don't pop up in every episode. So for SpongeBob, it would be like Glove World. If you're a SpongeBob nerd like me, you know that Glove World is like, you know, SpongeBob's favorite place, and it'll pop up every couple of seasons. Well, something similar happens in this episode. But for it to make sense, we have to rewind back to two older episodes. The first one being the episode The Masterpiece, and the other episode being Squidward's School for Grown-Ups. In the episode The Masterpiece, we were introduced to the art museum, this place right here. And guess what? It actually popped up again in Upward during this scene right here. That's a really cool reference. If we head back over to Squidward's School for Grown-Ups, back in that episode, we were introduced to the famed Bikini Bottom Opera House, this place right here. And guess what? This place also pops up again in Upward during this scene right here. You know, when it comes to SpongeBob Easter eggs, they usually reference like, you know, the most common SpongeBob stuff, but it's really cool when they reference like lesser known episodes like Squidward's School for Grown-Ups. That's like an old episode, dude. And we're not done yet. I've got more Easter eggs. Let's keep it going. Here's another one. I'm gonna play a clip with the Easter egg and then I'll come back in and explain. Let's do it. Now this one is really, really funny. So if we go back to the episode Band Geeks, an iconic episode, there's this iconic scene with Patrick. Roll the clip.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument.
Yeah, well, that's referenced in Upward. As if you look at the Opera House, Patrick is literally playing mayonnaise as an instrument. So take that, Squidward. You know, if you remember, Squidward said that mayonnaise is not an instrument, but I guess it is, right, Patrick? Damn. Okay, here's another one, and you have to be a major nerd to get it, okay? It references the episode Squid Noir. Roll the clip.
Lady Upturn, there's a jellyfish blocking your ears.
Is that what he really sounds like?
Okay, so if you guys remember back in the episode Squid Noir, I believe it's from season 11, there's like a reoccurring joke. It especially happens at the end of the episode where the jellyfish, the ones that always pop up throughout SpongeBob, are seen enjoying Squidward's clarinet playing. Most people usually hate it, as you guys know, but the jellyfish love it, bro. I mean, at least in modern SpongeBob, back in the day they didn't. But yeah, as you've seen in the clip I just played from Upward, the jellyfish are seen enjoying Squidward's bad clarinet playing again, which is totally a reference. And here's Here's another one, though it technically isn't really a reference, but it's still really cool and I have to mention it. So who remembers the character Squilliam Fancy Sun? You know, Squidward's like arch nemesis, this guy?
Sounds as though you've got a dying animal to attend to, eh, old chum?
Squilliam Fancy Sun?
Yeah, that guy. He's one of my favorite characters. I love Squilliam, and I really hope that Squidward gets his revenge on him one day. He did get a little revenge back in Band Geeks, you know, with the whole Bubble Bowl situation. Like, he did get the W there, but since then, he hasn't really gotten his comeuppance yet, so hopefully that happens soon. But anyways, the last time we seen him was in the episode Code Yellow. Like I said, this was 7 years ago, back in season 10. Well, the show's producers must have caught on to this because, look.
No, 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 no!
And just saying, he actually appears again in the next season, season 16, so stay tuned as I'm gonna make a video on that in the future. I'm gonna move on to another new SpongeBob episode in a moment, but I've got a couple more little Easter eggs and facts for you guys from this one that are really cool. Throughout the episode, Squidward wears numerous different outfits, and all of them are different references to other celebrities and cultural icons. While angrily swatting away his sheet music, he resembles Andy Warhol. Here's a side-by-side right here. Or while shopping for a golden clarinet, he resembles Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart from the 1984 film Amadeus. Another example is when he invites SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs to his debut concert, as he resembles composer Liberace, even wearing his signature King Neptune outfit. And in his last outfit, the one he wears while performing at the famed Bikini Bottom Opera House, he resembles the legendary Elton John, more specifically from his 1975 performance at the Dodger Stadium. And of course, here's another side-by-side. Really cool stuff, and now we can finally move on to another episode. Let's do it. In the episode Wet Painters, SpongeBob and Patrick are tasked by Mr. Krabs to clean the inside, or well, paint the inside of Mr. Krabs' house, at the cost of their behinds if anything other than the wall gets painted on. Well, spoiler alert, something other than the wall does get painted on, and that's Mr. Krabs' iconic first ever dollar. Now in the end, everything works out when we find out that the paint can just be removed with a little bit of saliva. Plot twist. But after this episode, Mr. Krabs' first dollar has kind of gone missing. We haven't really seen it since. That is, until the episode Bottle Burglars. As in this episode, the dollar is one of the objects that SpongeBob cleans on cleaning day. He actually ruins it. He like scrubs it so hard that it turns into a quarter and then a penny before it completely disappears. But don't worry, SpongeBob just replaces it with a random $1 bill from his pocket, and Mr. Krabs never even notices. But talk about a cool Easter egg.
This paint actually comes off with saliva.
You told us the paint was permanent, so me and Patrick would be more careful and not get paint on anything.
Nah, I just like to mess with you.
Aw, Mr. Krabs' first dollar. How many what?
Don't forget to clean the safe, boys.
In the episode Whatever Happened to SpongeBob, SpongeBob develops amnesia after running away from Bikini Bottom and eventually finds himself in New Kelp City. This place is very similar to New York, and believe it or not, SpongeBob actually becomes mayor of this place. However, due to him having amnesia and forgetting his name, he goes by a new name.
It will always be safe to blow bubbles on the streets of New Kelp, or my name isn't Jesus Brown Pants.
Well, this is actually referenced in the season 7 episode One Course Meal, when Plankton literally refers to SpongeBob as Cheesehead.
What you doing laying in the middle of the road?
Go away, cheesehead! Can't you see I'm trying to get run over?
The next episode we'll be talking about today actually features 2 Easter eggs, so let's just skip the plot summary and get right to the good stuff. The first is a SpongeBob's Last Stand reference, with this Save the Jellyfish sign being shown in the pile of rubble. Another reference is this ukulele, as it's most likely a reference to the ukulele used by SpongeBob in the episode Fun, which is another reference to an older SpongeBob episode. I love those. Our next episode is Cabin of Curiosities. On a dark and stormy night at Camp Coral, SpongeBob and Patrick stumble upon a creepy cabin filled with even creepier kid campers. In one of them is a familiar fiend from SpongeBob's past, or I guess his future, albeit in a pint-sized form. Cabin of Curiosities series plays out like a kid-friendly horror homage, as our heroes meet a gang of monster kids in the woods.
You are either very brave
or very foolish to venture into this dark domain.
Foolish! Definitely foolish!
Jake?
Yes, we are.
Oh, no!
My name is Predatori. That is my web. I spun it this morning.
The star of these odd campers is Kid Furatsu, who, as his punny name definitely implies, is the child version of the iconic SpongeBob character and just classic horror character in general, Nosferatu. It's crazy that Nosferatu is like literally like a canon SpongeBob character. Like, he's appeared on screen many times in the show. I mean, I guess this one technically isn't actually an Easter egg if Nosferatu is a regular character now. Camp Coral is a prequel show and shows a lot of the characters' younger forms, so I guess it makes sense that we would see Nosferatu's kid form, but I do think that this overall is a cool little homage at the very least. Our next episode is Call the Cops from season 11. This episode flips the script by putting SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs on the other side of the law. Plankton actually gets himself arrested after yet another failed formula theft, and the secret formula is locked up at the Bikini Bottom police station as evidence. To retrieve it, Mr. Krabs convinces SpongeBob to go undercover as police officers and infiltrate the station, a recipe for hilarious antics.
Have you got a license to sell these cookies?
Officer SquarePants, I don't think we ought to.
Let me handle this, Officer Mr. Krabs.
I don't have a license.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
As soon as they step into the station lobby, the background art delivers clever gags. For one, there's a framed photo of a donut on the wall, poking fun at the classic trope that cops love donuts, but right beside that is a wanted poster bearing a very familiar face, that of the Tattletale Strangler. I love references like this. Fans will remember this villain from SpongeBob Meets the Strangler, a legendary iconic episode, and apparently the Bikini Bottom PD is still on the lookout for him. The fact that his wanted poster appears here is a continuity nod, as if the events of that episode have been filed in police records. And the station's back room holds another Easter egg for the observant. Pinned up on the wall is a wanted poster for another iconic SpongeBob villain. Roll the clip and I'll let you guys catch it.
You can interrogate the suspect.
I don't know how to interrogate.
Then just ask questions.
Come on, you guys gotta know this one. That's Dennis, the fearsome hitman from the original 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants movie.
Name's Dennis. I've been hired to exterminate you.
Dennis's rugged mug is instantly recognizable, connecting the series to the first movie storyline even more. These background posters subtly expand the world building, implying that all of these notorious baddies share the same criminal universe. Really cool stuff. This next episode finally brings Gary the Snail to Camp Coral, and with him comes a barrel of references spanning the SpongeBob universe. In our next episode, Camper Gary, SpongeBob discovers his pet snail has stowed away at camp. Rather than send Gary home, SpongeBob disguises him as a new camper to keep him hidden from the staff, particularly from Mrs. Puff, who turns out to hate snails, which is kind of weird because she literally has a snail in the episode The Sponge Who Can Fly. Like, SpongeBob helps save her snail, so this is a little bit of a continuity error, but anyways, the premise of this episode alone parallels a classic SpongeBob plot. It's essentially the summer camp equivalent of My Pretty Seahorse, where SpongeBob hid his pet seahorse mystery at the Krusty Krab.
SpongeBob, thanks for finally getting rid of that horse.
You're welcome, Mr. Krabs. It worked, girl. I'll just keep you back here until Patrick finishes that stable I asked him to build.
Years later, in Camper Gary, we see SpongeBob do something very similar to that scene from My Pretty Seahorse. As a matter of fact, the entire plot of this episode is very similar, which a lot of people think is a reference. Here's another Easter egg though. Of course, Gary eventually runs loose, and Mrs. Puff goes into full monster hunter mode, chasing the beast snail haunting the camp. She doesn't even realize that it's Gary and actually thinks that there's a real threat here. But in a very funny twist, during the chaos, Mrs. Puff offhandedly mentions the following line, and if you listen closely, this is a reference.
Mom always said I'd go out like this. Oh well, better than being dragged back to prison.
As you heard right there, Mrs. Puff refers to being dragged back to prison. And this is a reference to the fact that Mrs. Puff has gone to prison many times in original SpongeBob. For example, in No Free Ride, she goes to jail, so it's very in character that even years before original SpongeBob in the prequel show, she had already been to jail. It seems to be a running theme in her life. There are some more Easter eggs in this episode, and I'm gonna rapid fire them. They're really cool. For one, if you look closely in SpongeBob's bunk, there's this poster right here of Mermaid Man on the wall. We also see a jar of mayonnaise amongst SpongeBob and Patrick's belongings, perhaps a wink at the famous "is mayonnaise an instrument" joke, since what camper packs mayo for a trip? Only Patrick would do that, I mean, come on. And if you look closely right here, we can find canned bread again. We've talked about this in a previous Easter egg video, and if you guys remember back in the episode Squidville, okay, where Squidward moves to go and live in like a town where it's all people exactly like him, he finds one of his favorite things that he's always been looking for.
Canned bread! This town is great!
So yeah, this is a really cool Easter egg and shows that whoever wrote this episode knows their lore. This is like a deep cut of a reference, canned bread, really cool. Let's keep it moving though. In the episode, Captain Pipsqueak, Plankton comes up with the ultimate plan to join the League of Evil so that he can take over the world and of course, steal the Krabby Patty secret formula. Well, in order to do this, Plankton has to do an addition, and during this scene, we see numerous villains from previous episodes show up for an addition as well. And boy, oh boy, does it make for an epic scene full of references. First up is Dennis from the first SpongeBob movie. Then there's this guy, a thug who steals the paddy wagon, also from the first movie. Dr. Negative, Squidward's villain counterpart from the episode Mermaid Pants, really good episode by the way. There's also Madame Hagfish, the Earworm, Robot Mantis, Nosferatu, Gordon the Viking, Dorsal Dan, and my favorites, the Strangler from the episode Tattletale Strangler, and Doodle Bob from the episode Frankendoodle. That is like 12 to 13 references in one scene. Crazy.
Dude, sign in and wait your turn.
Get out of the car, fellas!
Take all your money and put it in the bag.
No, Mr. Bob, I expect you to fry.
I am the Strangler. I'm the Strangler.
What is this?
To be or line?
Now, when we first mentioned this episode, I went over all of its cool references to past episodes, but I did leave one out, and this is due to it not being from a SpongeBob episode, but from a SpongeBob video game, and that's this blue little dude known as Prawn. Prawn made his first appearance in the SpongeBob video game, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. It's really cool to see Prawn make his way over to the actual TV show. I wonder though, does this mean that SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom is now canon? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm curious.
Did someone call? Oh, I thought maybe I was looking at superheroes. But now I see it's just a couple of pieces of gnarled driftwood.
What did Prawn do?
The worst thing you can imagine. He put all of Mermaid Man's white clothes in the washer with a red sock.
What is that yellow thing? Some kind of mold?
I'm not mold, I'm a sponge. There's a cellular difference.
When Patrick's mother, Bunny, leaves the Star family home for a week in the episode Clean in House, she leaves to claim an inheritance in Clopnod, the location we were talking about earlier. And when she does this, chaos quickly erupts in her absence. Each member of the household is tasked with cleaning a different part of the now filthy house before their mom gets home. And it makes for a good plot, but I know what you guys are actually here for, and it's the Easter eggs, as there are a bunch of visual references and nods to SpongeBob's lore in this episode. Here's the first one, roll the clip. So as you can see right here, I'm looping it, but Patrick can be seen eating a chocolate bar. But this isn't just any old chocolate bar, guys. Take a look at it and then take a look at this scene and it might seem a little familiar.
Did you say chocolate?
Yes, sir. With or without nuts.
Yeah, that's right, guys. The chocolate that Patrick's eating at the start of this episode is the same chocolate bar from Chocolate with Nuts. Here's a side-by-side. And dude, now I'm hungry. Deep fried crabs today. This chocolate bar. I'm gonna go get some food after this. But yeah, really cool reference, guys. And here's another one. Roll the clip. Alright, so let me explain. As you can see, there are 3 disgusting cockroaches right here, and they may seem a little bit familiar to you guys, as their design resembles the one that we seen back in the episode, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4. Okay, and here's one more from this episode, and you all should right away get this reference. Roll the clip.
She says she's coming back home.
Home? We gotta get the place clean before Bunny gets back.
I ain't doing any cleaning.
We'll start with your filthy mouth, Dad.
Now listen, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and no matter what, Cartoon Corey loves ya and respects ya, but if you did not catch that Easter egg, you're kind of a fake SpongeBob fan. As you guys just heard, dolphin chirps were used as replacements for curse words, which is a direct reference to the iconic episode Sailor Mouth. Another spooky episode is Curse of the Were-Doodle. This Halloween special brings back one of SpongeBob's scariest creations, Doodle Bob. But honestly, Doodle Bob's one of my favorite characters. Like, he's awesome. Take a look at this funny clip from his original episode. But yeah, in this episode, Curse of the Were-Doodle, SpongeBob is bitten by Doodle Bob, the wicked pencil-drawn duplicate of SpongeBob from Season 2's Frankendoodle, and this transforms him into a were-doodle. This happens whenever the moonlight hits, and it's essentially a werewolf-like doodle version of himself. Take a look at this clip. As a tribute to his pencil-drawn roots, the episode is overflowing with references to Frankendoodle, and even a recent Doodle Bob cameo, making it a goldmine for fans of SpongeBob lore. Once SpongeBob's were-doodle side starts wreaking havoc, the homages come fast and furious. For example, take a look at the way the were-doodle repeatedly body slams Mr. Krabs in this scene right here. Dude, he's just like flinging the poor crab back and forth like a rag doll. But this is a direct visual callback to Doodle Bob's infamous beatdown of Squidward in Frankendoodle. Doodle Boy, stop! Did you guys catch that? As in that 2002 episode, Doodle Bob pounced on Squidward and smashed him flat in the exact same manner. This has also happened before. If we go back to the episode Squiddy Box, Doodle Bob does the exact same thing. Take a look. Yeah, really cool references here, guys, and there's more. Let's keep it rolling. As the Were-Doodle's next rampage moment is another scene ripped straight from Frankendoodle. As you guys just seen, the Were-Doodle took that long wooden beam and turned it into a pencil by chewing on it. And longtime fans will immediately recall Doodle Bob's tactic in Frankendoodle, where he grabbed the magic pencil and did the exact same thing after it snapped, complete with the same frenzied sharpening sound effects. Seeing the Were-Doodle do this with an entire wooden post is a hilarious escalation of the reference. And the episode doesn't stop there. During the climax of the episode, during the chase, the Were-Doodle defeats Bubble Bass by drawing a quick hole on the ground, which results in this happening to Bubble Bass. Roll the clip. This trick is a carbon copy of Doodle Bob's strategy from Frankendoodle, of course, where the villainous Doodle sketched a pit to trap SpongeBob and Patrick. In Curse of the Were-Doodle, the context has changed, with Bubble Bass being the unlucky victim this time. But the visual gag is an instant whole, complete with the scribbled edges and Bubble Bass's shocked expression as he drops through the hand-drawn void. This episode, Curse of the Were-Doodle, is very good. So many cool Easter eggs in it. The character, Flats the Flounder, made multiple appearances in early seasons of SpongeBob. For example, Sandy's Rocket, Texas, but most notably The Bully, where he plays a major role, where he pretty much wants to kick SpongeBob's butt throughout the entire episode just for sitting beside him and saying, "Hey, poor SpongeBob." Now, since The Bully, he hasn't had very many appearances. He has appeared a few times, but it has been fairly limited. That was until the episode Don't Feed the Clowns, as he's actually a customer of the bakery who gets knocked out by getting hit with a pie. Talk about a cool reference. It's nice to see Flats the Flounder back in action again, especially in a more recent episode.
SpongeBob! I can't believe you beat up a new student. I'm going to kick your butt!
In the episode Enemies Alamode, a Patrick Star Show episode, Patrick is supposed to host his variety show, but becomes obsessed with getting ice cream. I can't really blame him. Ice cream's pretty good. I could go for like an Oreo McFlurry right now, but nonetheless, this episode's premise revolves around Patrick's family members confronting absurd rivalries. Well, Patrick himself is just more concerned with ice cream, with him chasing down an elusive ice cream truck. And this innocent setup actually hides a bunch of Easter eggs. For example, at one point of this episode, we get this like black and white segment, where it's a flashback featuring Grandpat recounting the ice cream prohibition era, a spoof on real life prohibition, where he frequented secret sweet easies until he was caught in jail. Now, during this flashback, eagle-eyed fans can spot a blink and you'll miss it Easter egg. As Grandpat is hauled into a paddy wagon, we can see this eel inmate inside of the truck right here. Now, he may just seem like a random character, but it's actually been confirmed by SpongeBob staff that this character is related to another SpongeBob character. It was deliberately designed as the grandfather of Carlos Eel, a very obscure character from the SpongeBob episode Walking Small. In this episode, Walking Small, from all the way back in season 1, Carlos Eel steals SpongeBob's ice cream cone at Goo Lagoon by sliding straight through SpongeBob's body to snatch the cone. Plankton then forces SpongeBob to be assertive, famously shouting through SpongeBob's mouth. Terrified, Carlos bursts into tears and flees, tossing the ice cream back at SpongeBob.
Surrender that ice cream cone, or every waking moment for you will become a swirling torrent of pain and misery.
Well, this flashback in Enemies Alamode cleverly mirrors this history, and it's also just a really cool reference. I mean, Carlos Eel is like the most random deep cut character ever from a season 1 episode, so the fact that the art team and the writers went out of their way to include a character that's related to him is really cool. Another fun fact about this is that Grandpat's eel cellmate got jailed for ice cream related crimes, which is very funny because if you remember, Carlos Eel stole SpongeBob's ice cream, so there's even some really cool continuity there. Like, this writer and artist who did like all the conceptual art for him is a true SpongeBob fan. Like, that's a true SpongeBob nerd just like me. Speaking of ice cream though, Enemies Alamode features another rare character return. This guy right here, the ice cream truck driver himself, or the waiter from the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Early in the episode, Patrick chases down a cheerful ice cream vendor named Walter, who upon seeing Patrick approaching is struck in with horror. And through a flashback to their childhood, we learn why. As a kid, Patrick tasted Walter's ice cream and went absolutely ballistic, like the dude just went completely feral. Now, longtime viewers will recognize Goofy Goobers as the ice cream parlor from the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. In fact, Walter appears to be the very same green ice cream man who has repeatedly suffered at the hands of Patrick and SpongeBob in the past, with them just covering him in ice cream. For example, this scene right here from the SpongeBob SquarePants movie from 2004.
Why do I always get the nuts?
A similar gag like this occurs in the season 11 episode Pat Nokia, where Patrick, under Plankton's influence, orders this crazy massive ice cream order of sundaes, and being the clumsy starfish that he is, he flings one right into the same vendor's face. Our poor guy Walter is just always getting hit with ice cream. Well, in Enemies Alamode, it's implied that Walter is the very same vendor, with a very traumatic past with Patrick. Patrick even kept a childlike crayon drawing of the mean old ice cream man as his sworn enemy. This continuity makes the scene extra hilarious for fans. The poor ice cream man thought he'd seen the last of Patrick's chaos years ago, only to have the pink dude return wanting more ice cream and chasing him down throughout like the whole episode. And those aren't the only Easter eggs here. In Grandpat's Prohibition flashback, many character designs reference 1930s animation, and Squidina's popsicle in the present day is actually a reference itself. It's shaped like a bomb pop, a nod to a real-life frozen treat. The episode's title itself, Enemies Alamode, echoes the season 5 SpongeBob episode title, Crabs Alamode. Another really good episode, by the way. All of these layers make this a really good episode filled with tons of references. Like, they're really cool. In the season 16 episode, Exchange Student Driver, Mrs. Puff finally finds a clever, well, kind of extreme solution to get a break from SpongeBob's never-ending boating school failures. She decides to enroll him in a foreign exchange program and ships him off to a distant driving school in Clopnod. If you've heard of Clopnod before, it's because this is actually like kind of a reference. If we go back to the Patrick Star Show episode, Clopnodian Heritage Festival, we were introduced to this whole culture.
I'm so happy to be sharing my Klopnodian culture with my family.
According to this pamphlet, Klopnod is the silliest place in the ocean.
So it's cool that that was referenced here. This is another example of them, you know, expanding the universe and connecting the spin-offs to the main show. This location has appeared tons of times in the Patrick Star Show, but this was the first time it ever appeared in SpongeBob. And it kind of makes it now like 100% a canon location. But let's move on.